Hi there, welcome to the latest edition of the Gersnet Weekly Podcast, the independent Rangers podcast, which is brought to you by fans for fans, where the content is absolutely free. It is episode 157 of the flagship show. I'm your host tonight. I'm Colin Armstrong. As I say every week, guys, it's not just the pod we have here at Gersnet. You know, we have articles on the websites, match previews, reviews, all that kind of stuff. Frankie's got his social media, and there's a history archive on the website as well. So get yourself on there. If you like what we do here at the pod, please give our YouTube station a wee like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff, and put the word out there in social media for us. Looking at the result today against Ross County, Rangers 4, Ross County 2. I'm joined by Gary Valentine and Alex Anderson to look at the game. Gary, we'll come to you first. You're obviously basking in that sort of new father mode and all the rest of it, to the extent that I believe you were logged on half an hour early for the show tonight.
Was baby brain. It's happening. It's a real thing.
You're not the first, to be honest with you, because you know the Friday show is normally at 9 o'clock and Sunday show is 9:30. So we've had it before, but I quite enjoyed that.
On a Sunday, my head's usually at Mars anyway, but for different reasons.
Well, that's what happens with the new baby bounce. You know what I mean? You don't know what day of the week it is. And also joining us is Alex Anderson. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing fine, thanks, Colin, especially after today's win. And Gary, don't give it your partner, mate. You're the same as me. We're all champing at the bit because Rangers actually won the day. You know, went a few goals in front. We got to relax at Ibrox for a change. It was great. But you're doing well yourself, Colin. That's what Friday night, and then I saw you were getting accosted outside Ibrox the night by some kind of. He looked like some sort of drug dealer, you know, like kind of longshoreman with his bonnet on and a big jacket. It's scary looking dude.
He looks dodgy, doesn't he? He looks as dodgy as a £3 note, by the way. I didn't know it was him. See, with that hat on, we'd arranged to meet, and I was like, standing there, is that him? Is that not him? He looks like a bit of a crook. And then he was like, oh, hiya. So it's something we're trying to do. Try to do a wee bit more pre-match and post-match stuff from the actual ground. So we'll try and get that out. But some of the comments have been pretty positive so far. But it was quite funny. I don't know if you noticed, there was a bin man behind us. in the middle of the chat, this sort of bin man sort of wandering about, giving us a wee look. And the thing is, after we'd finished the video, they kind of followed me all the way down to the subway station. So good laugh. I was at the Camelin game yesterday. Where were you? I noticed you were out and about as normal at one of these games.
I like to see the Buffs, Colin and Rangers. They got a new stadium. They've been, I think, right, for a couple of seasons. So I hadn't been. I used to Palomines for Colin, so I'd been to their old Abbey Park plenty of times in the years, but I hadn't got around to going to their new place. So went there. That's me get one more to go, and I'll finish the old Scottish Junior Football Association West Region. Every ground in that region.
There we go.
A wee obsession from that kind of sprang up during lockdown. We couldn't go to any football, mate. The Saturday or the weekend the football stopped. We were playing Celtic, remember, on the Sunday, and I was supposed to go to see Royal Albert in Stonehouse for the first time I'd ever seen in. I've got maybe one or two new junior grounds every season, but then I think just no getting to a game at all. I just had it in my head, I've got to get these grounds done. I've got to go and see them. So this season I've been absolutely tanking it, you know. So next 3 Saturdays are all free, so I'll get a lot of them done.
Good. I was at Camelin Lithgow Rose yesterday, and I had a wee bit of patter with their goalkeeper. It was quite extreme. It was good. Yeah. It was good light, you know what I mean. It passes a Saturday, but he was being a bit of a dick. You know what I mean. It was just being a bit Scott Bruni. You know what I mean. You know, getting tight to supporters, because he used to play for Camelin. He used to play for them. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's linked. There was stuff in the summer we came on in terms of accusations of money not getting paid to players, furlough cash and all that kind of stuff. Don't know if it's true or if it's not true. But anyway, for whatever the reason, this guy had a bee in his bonnet, you know what I mean? And I think we took about an hour of it, and then I was just like, mate, no, you're not getting away with that, you know what I mean? So he just got it absolutely stinking. We found every way possible to get him it stinking. So it was a good laugh.
How did you go on? How came on going?
Pump 3-1. We'll not go on about that though. We'll dump all the Camelin chat and go on to a team that won today. Gary, I'll come to you first. I don't know how you were feeling today, but like I got off the train today, and it's normally the same time. You know, you start looking for the team on Twitter. You know, when it's going to be announced. And I was expecting changes there, you know, and I think the way Gerrard it framed his post-match interview on on Thursday night, you can expect changes. He was specifically mentioned in the front three. I wasn't quite expecting the level of changes, I must admit. And when I saw that midfield, I got a wee bit of the fear. No Morelos. Good to see, obviously, Ryan Kent back in the side. So how did you feel? I mean, me and my son and a few others, I was messaging a couple of mates, we all kind of got the fear when we saw that team. How did you feel?
I quite expected that, to be honest. I actually thought Jack Simpson would have maybe started today. I don't know if injury was maybe a reason or not, or if it was just wanted to keep the same back four. But or saying that Bassey played today. But yeah, I expected loads of changes, especially the front three, after his comments from Thursday. But yeah, it was just, as I said in the chat midweek, it's good to see that we've got quite a good squad of 22, that you can make those changes and it doesn't really affect the quality we've got.
Yeah, and Bacuna starting as well. I think no Davis there just sort of made me think, and I was quite chuffed to see Scott Arfield back in the side last week. So yeah, Bacuna, were you happy to see him start?
I was maybe he was the most surprising one, to be honest. It's taken a while for these guys to get up to speed, but I think if you look back before we won the league, and it was like Davis, Jack, Kamara, they were kind of two samey for me. And now you've got Bacuna, Aribo, guys like that. You can count Arfield as well. They're a bit more attacking, give us more of a goal threat. So I'm glad that he's starting to go that way, because I think that was one of the big problems we had, that we weren't getting goals from midfield, and Bacuna done it today. Managed to get us a goal, so I was quite happy with that.
I like the no Morelos, and as Gary's alluded to there, I think we kind of half expected it. I think Gerrard was quite stinging in some of his comments on Thursday, saying he was going to make changes, and I don't think he was happy with the performances of a few individuals in that front three. So in terms of that, are we looking at Morelos? Was he rested today, or was he dropped? How were you viewing that?
Bit of both, with the emphasis on the dropped, I think, Colin. It's difficult for me because I love Alfie. I love him to bits. But I think it's even more difficult for Steven Gerrard to deal with Alfie. But if anybody can, he can. He seems to know how to kind of, when to drop him, when to kind of, talk him up, when to put the arm round him, and he has a laugh. I think with the fans, even when Morelos is, doing really well in Europe, he's always quite upfront. Steven Gerrard about telling us, we know why he loves this competition, because he's wanting a move. So there's a real honesty there with how he deals with Alfie. But it's almost becoming kind of part of the routine, Alfie doesn't have a great game, looks a bit sloppy, bit disinterested. That's it. He's not playing the next game or whatever. But I don't know. It all works out, and I think it speaks to how what we're doing this season. I think it's not just about suspensions and about injuries. I think there's just a general, as I was saying pod last week, I think there's just a general determination to kind of really rotate the team and get them used to the idea that this is a squad, kind of squad season like no other, almost. And I'm the same as yourself. The first thing I saw today was no Davis, no Kamara, and that gave me a wee bit of the fear, like this is bold or this is suicidal. But as Gary's saying, it worked out. Bacuna come in. Kind of confirmation bias. I thought at first I was thinking, I don't know if he's really got the kind of intensity or whatever. But I think we've been saying that about Rangers in general all season. And Bacuna kind of summed up how we're doing, how we're kind of rolling this season. Seemed a bit kind of a bit laid back. But he's one of these guys that's how he plays, and he starts moving and ends up scoring a cracking goal, really contributing. Had a smashing game, and it's just the way Rangers have been playing this season. It's this losing the first goal. We'll talk about it, but it's just becoming. I actually laughed today. It's just like, here we go. This is just what we do. We won the league last season by no conceding any goals. We're winning the league this season by conceding every single game. It's just, as long as they get there, as long as they get the 3 points. But I thought we got a lot of players that have been in the fringes, got a run out today. And if it was a gamble at all for Steven Gerrard, well, it certainly worked.
Gary, on the conceding first, I mean, on the preview show on Friday there, myself and John, we're both sort of saying, like, surely this game, Ross County, bottom of the league, this has to be the week that we don't concede. But we did concede, and not only did we concede, yet again we conceded first. You know what I mean? We went behind after like 5-6 minutes, and it all sort of came for a mix up between Hadji and Lundstrom. And it's just, I mean, I know we got out it and we're fine. You know, we've got the 3 points and we're going into the break. You know, with that 4-point gap, but it's just so frustrating to go behind every single week. You know, you're having to, as I've said a few times now, it's like, well, you know, Rangers have to score at least 2 every game at the moment because they're going to concede.
Yeah, well, the thing is that we now have the players that we can score those goals. See, previously, just kind of touched on what Alex was talking there. Before we needed Alfredo Morelos, now we don't, because we've got goals for all over the team, whether it's Hadji, Kent, Bakuna today, we've got Wright there as well. We can allow Defoe to go and do punditry, we can send it in on loan. Okay, so it's things like that that show you how much this team's changed. That we can now say, I said last week as a joke on Twitter that we're trying to make it interesting. We're giving teams a goal head start just to get a challenge because it's that easy. But obviously
it's no good. It's no good for the heart, though, is it? You know,
definitely not good for the heart. I say that a total joke, but the facts are that I think it's 16 points after today we've won for losing a losing position, and you could see all the cliches. It's a sign of champions, all this kind of stuff, but at the same time, you're looking at it and you're saying that can't go on because we get away with that at St Mirren, we get away with it against Ross County, but we won't get away with that at Tynecastle, we won't get away with that. We didn't get away with it at Tannadice, we won't get away with it at Parkhead, and these games are coming up. So we really need to get this sorted because it's becoming too regular. I think you said that was 5 games in a row that's happened. It's just not good enough.
Alex, you know, we did get the equaliser. It came for Joe Aribo. Really good header, and it came for a corner kick that Ryan Kent had won, and we'll talk about his contribution in a minute. But in terms of Aribo, like, another solid performance. You know, he really is playing well this year, and he's playing well from that sort of deeper position in the park. You know, in the middle 3. I always tend to prefer him in the front 3. I like him on that right hand side. I think he causes havoc, but there's no doubt he's improving in that middle 3 area. You know, he's a better player there now than he was, say, last season. And a good goal, good header.
That was a cracking header. It's actually a kind of centre forwards, like an experienced top level centre forwards header. You know, kind of backwards header into the far corner. Assist number 100 for our captain, who's been getting a bit of stick this season, and he just keeps. And he went on to get assist 101 with the 4th goal. Put that together with his 2 cracking goals he scored this season for us already at Fir Park and up at Perth. He's just Tav. I think just deserves a special mention. He's been fantastic. Consistent. He's there, and again, summing up that thing of we're maybe not getting the plaudits we deserve, but the consistency for some of the players is a bit more. It's a bit more under the radar. You know, it's not as spectacular as it was last season, but it's still we're top of the league, and we've been top of the league for a few weeks now, playing like this. But I thought, Joe Aribo, we've all noticed that he's filling out. You know, he still seems to have the big spindly legs, but he's filling out as a unit. But skill-wise, he can do practically anything you want in an attacking sense. I'm the same as yourself, Colin. I know, like Gary was talking about, I know a lot of folk have got a problem with the Davis, Jack and Kamara in the midfield has been a bit samey. But personally, I've always felt more kind of secure. We're talking about how we're losing a goal every game. I've always loved having those 3 in the midfield. It's not going to happen now because it's not been happening because of the injury to Ryan Jack. It's not going to happen as consistently now. But I love having them 3 in there with, as you're saying, Joe Aribo on the right, just hanging on the shoulder, up front, coming in, cutting in, and just causing absolute havoc. And a wee contribution to, was it Bakuna's goal as well today? And just generally all round, he just looked proper, you know. And he looks that kind of comfortable winning way. He looks like, I think what's happening with Rangers this season, I think we have changed psychologically because we are champions. We now have, I don't say for a second they're going out and they're deliberately losing a goal to start every game and make it interesting for them. You know, and it does make it interesting. Let's not mess with it. But I think
that's one way of putting it. I don't think interesting is the word, but anyway,
it's interesting from a heart way. I know. It makes it interesting as to whether I'm going to get him in a box or whether I'm going to get him in the motor. But we're doing that thing. We've now got the most experienced manager in the league, the longest serving manager, I think, in the Premiership. And we're still stuck, I think, a lot of supporters psychologically because of how much we've been through the past 10 years and how kind of traumatic it was getting closer and closer to Celtic, but not quite getting there for the last 3 seasons. I think we're kind of forgetting that we're not chasing anymore. We are the ones to be chased. Now, we want to see us put in daylight between ourselves and Celtic, but I think Joe Aribo and a few other players actually can epitomise that now. They're just comfortable within themselves. There's no that mania or that panic, we've got to get there, it doesn't matter if we won this game, we've got to win the next game, because we'll always be chasing. Even when we were top of the league last season, we were still chasing in the long term in terms of we were the team trying to pin Celtic back. And now they're chasing, and I think we don't just look comfortable, I think at times we look too comfortable. But Joe Aribo kind of epitomises to me how we've grown under Gerrard. He's literally grown. But in an attacking sense, he's absolutely ferocious. He was great today.
You mentioned Tav there, Alex. What about Bassey on the other side now? We're speaking about Bassey a couple of weeks back there. And I thought I think the general opinion for everyone on the show that night was he's deserving of the shirt at the moment, but he's not quite what you would term as a first pick left back. Is he getting there now? Because I genuinely think Borna has struggled this season, and I've got no qualms at all when Bassey comes in.
That's it. Ross was asking me the preview pod for the Brøndby game the other night what I thought the team was going to be, and I actually just start with the same team as last Sunday at Fir Park. I thought Bassey was ferocious in that game. I thought he was an absolutely thundering performance. The ways, and it's not just the physicality now. It's not just I feel terrible always talking about black players talking about physicality and it's one of these things that's always kind of noted as being potentially racist, and I really don't mean it like that. The guy is just really, really physical, really, really quick. But some of the problem he had maybe was he was being perceived as not being as accurate at the crossing as Borna Barisic. And at first you're thinking, well, who is? Because when Borna's on his game, he's forensic with the cross, it's like a laser. But I think like the first game of the season, first league game of the season against Livingston, he was doing that thing where he was getting slated for not getting the crosses in perfectly, but he was getting every maybe third cross was a killer. He was getting picked up in the two or three, the two crosses that weren't so good. But then people were missing the fact that he was bringing that shape to the team that they've had through the word go under Gerrard, that kind of getting the fullbacks forward. And Borna's not been doing that. He's kind of retreated into that guy. I remember him at Rugby Park, maybe his first season, one game in particular, he almost seemed to get a fright when he saw the halfway line. He would turn back when he saw the halfway line coming. Whereas he's at his best, obviously, when he piles forward. He's a kind of moody player. He's a bit up and down. But I thought Bassey's really, really becoming great at the crossing now as well. His crossing's really improved. And again, what I'm talking about, I think Gerrard trying to move us on to the next level. He gets slotted into centre half today. We'll maybe talk about that goal that we conceded at the end. But it's like every day's a school day. It's like the minute he sees anybody, the minute he sees anybody thinking, right, they've arrived, he's moving them on to the next task. He's keeping. There's a general kind of pushing on feeling about the whole club, certainly about the team anyway. And Gerrard's never happy. And he's picking on Nathan Patterson at left back today. It maybe a result. That's why we ended up losing the goal at the end. But I think we're vastly improving. And I think this thing that we think with teams, we were struggling maybe earlier in the season. Folk thought, is this Gerrard? It's one season too many. It's the difficult fourth season syndrome that happens with a lot of managers. But I think we're forgetting that we felt the way we feel about maybe Lundstrom and Bakuna earlier this season. We used to feel that way about Hadji. We used to feel that way about Scott Wright's maybe now in that kind of role where is he good? Is it? No, he's got enough there, but he's not quite ready to be a regular. And I think we're just moving on to the next phase of this team. And Bassey is a great example of that. It seems like every season we've got a player who's coming through and we're starting to think, he's going to replace somebody that we thought was a fixture. So I think he's been tremendous.
Gary, on to probably arguably the moment of the game, really. As I said earlier on, Ryan Kennedy's, been out the last 6-7 weeks or whatever it is. And you could easily argue that, even though he didn't start the season that well, we've definitely missed him. His goal to put us 2-1 up, it was just a reminder of what we have missed. He really is so vital and so important. Where my seat is in the Govan rear, it looked a peach there, but when you see the goal for the camera angle, and you're right behind the trajectory of the ball, it goes up, it comes down, an absolute peach of goal, and a wee reminder of what he can bring to the team.
Well, definitely, like that's why you pay £7 million for players, or certainly in Scotland, and you want him to be the best player in the park. And the day was just awesome. But I do wonder if at the start of the season, if he was actually fit, and that's why he's maybe a bit inconsistent. Because if he can play like he plays today for the rest of the season, then he probably will win Player of the Year playing like that. Because he was just absolutely awesome. And as Alex was saying earlier about Aribo looking like strong and physical after Kent scored the goal, it zoomed in on him and he was talking to, I think it was Gerard and Beale, and she was seen the size of him. So he's came as a scrawny kid. Hadji's the same, Scott Wright's the same, but they're coming as scrawny kids, and you can see that they're improved, not just their skills, but their bodies and how they're looking after themselves. And to me, that's a good advert for us bringing other players in the future to say, well, look, this is where we're taking kind of raw talent, and this is what we're doing them, developing them. And Kent's absolutely phenomenal, and we'll double our money when he eventually goes.
It's interesting you talk about the body shape, because Hadji's definitely one, but how quickly Scott Wright's body shape changed when he arrived. It felt within 2 or 3 weeks, you're that guy is seriously bulked up. You know what I mean? He'd just his upper body was just, you could tell, he was filling out really, really quickly. I think you're right. It's noticeable. Aribo's the same. Every one of those young boys that's came in is
as well.
Yeah, well, it's went the other way really with Morelos, so it's not really shoulders it's got bigger, it's maybe nearer the waist, but there's no doubt about it. As you say, there's definitely something about how the players are training, that they're improving their physicality, because every single one of them that comes through that door, within 2 or 3 months, they have an entirely different body shape.
I think there might be steroids in the church water that were filtering into Iber.
Oh, the church water, I forgot about that one. Aye, and the caffeine, that was another one, the caffeine, yeah. Aye, anyway. Right, Alex, back to Bacuna. He started today, again, I think we've sort of said a few times now that most of the guys that came in through the summer have yet to really have an impact. Lundstrom's, had a few good games, obviously. Sakala got his hat-trick last week, so he's had his wee moment. But overall, you would probably be looking for more for the guys coming in, to refresh things. So it was good to see him get a start. Again, like Ryan Kent, his goal, an absolute peach, took it well, and hopefully that will give him the confidence and the belief to sort of push on now. Aye,
absolutely. And I think it was Sakala had a lovely kind of involvement with that goal as well, just kind of out on the left, which is probably where he should. I think he started through the middle, Sakala, and he's maybe more suited to kind of just left of the kind of centre forwards, so to speak, as he was at Fir Park last week. But he did some great work, and there's lovely play. Bassey's right up there as well. But I think that the thing for me is Bacuna linking up with Aribo as well, just slotting in. There's obviously an understanding there. It must have come through, obviously training mostly, training sessions, because he's not been getting a lot of game time. But I think after him going off 38 minutes and or whatever it was in Prague, he went off kind of early doors in Prague, and a bad night for us. It was nice to see him coming out today and really kind of making his mark. Absolutely cracking hit, just absolutely smashing. And the thing for me was we were 2 goals up early on in the second half. I know the big thing has been we're losing goals every game. We're not keeping clean sheets. But I think actually more frustrating for me for most of the season has been with the amount of attacking talent we've always got on the park, the inability to go more than 1 goal ahead of somebody. We put that to bed big style last week, obviously at Fir Park. But then you've come in, you've made all these changes today, and we've done the same thing again. You're obviously you're going to go down. We've been 1 goal up at half time a few times, Ibrox this season, Motherwell, Hearts, and we've been playing absolutely brilliant. And you've thought, oh, here we go. And it didn't happen. And actually, we've conceded points by the end of the game, each game. Today, though, you're a goal up at half time. You can already see that they're motoring better. They've got that kind of graininess about them because they've been a goal down. They're 2 goals up before 50 minutes. They're 3 goals up by the hour. And it's like, I don't actually understand what to do now. It's like, I got to the point, I forget how to be relaxed during the game at Ibrox. I'm just like, write my next novel or something like that with the spare time I've got. But no, it was a smashing goal, mate. And I think the way he went and he kind of launched himself up towards the Copeland, you can see that he really enjoyed it as well. He really wanted it. It's always nice to see that bit of it's that bit of kind of passion and also relief as well. I thought it was a bit of relief in his celebration. There was no kind of big time Charlie stuff like, yeah, I've arrived. It was like, I'm glad to have shown you what I can do.
Yeah.
Get that monkey off my back. It was great.
I thought he could have had it earlier. I thought the chance had went.
Aye.
You know what I mean? See, when he played that wee 1-2, I was like, hit it now. And he just took another wee touch. And at that point, I thought, oh, that's it, it's gone. So, no, a really good finish. And good to see him, as you say, it's good to see him get his goal. And hopefully we'll start to see the best of him now and he'll add to things. Gary, staying on the sort of midfield area, been out for the last 9 months. Arguably the biggest cheer of the day was when we welcomed Ryan Jack back onto the park. Good to see him. I mean, I think it's difficult to argue that he played particularly well, but I think that's understandable. He's just coming back in, he's just wanting minutes in the legs. The game was done, so it's just about reintroducing him to the fold, so to speak. But really good to see him back, and there's no doubt that if he gets up to speed and puts in the sort of level of performance that we've seen prior to his injury, he'll be a massive sort of bonus to the squad moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. And he's one of Gerrard's favourites by the looks of it if he can keep his fitness.
Yeah.
I was absolutely shocked that it was 9 months until Clive Tilsley said today, I guess it was like 30 odd games he'd missed. It just doesn't feel like that at all. But we know for the previous seasons that if Brian Jack's fit, he's probably one of Gerrard's first men on the team sheet. And like the security he gives you in the midfield, he's physical as well. And for me, the thing is that he's a Rangers fan. He gets what it's about. And I'd heard on another thing earlier today that he's one of the vocal ones in the changing room. So if he's doing that when he's fit and when he's playing, that will hopefully make us better so other guys around him can do it, because it's a bit hard to do it when you're injured and in the stand.
See, that's a good point that you make. I always hark back to Graham Souness talking about Ray Wilkins in this way. When Ray Wilkins left Rangers, Souness made this comment, and I never quite got it at the time. I was only about 14 or 15 at the time. He said, I was getting more from him off the park than I was on it. What he was doing in the dressing room and how he G'd up the guys. I'm not saying that's the case with Ryan Kent. I'm not saying it at all. What I'm saying is that's something he does bring. As you say, he's vocal in that dressing room. From the outside looking in, it would appear that he's highly respected. He's one of those guys that demands the most of his teammates, demands the sort of highest performance levels for them. If you're missing that, it's a big loss. It's not just what he gives you on the park, it's also what he gives you in the dressing room.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's especially for like the Rangers, even Celtic as well. I think it's such a big thing for players coming in who aren't from Scotland, aren't necessarily fans either, to understand what Rangers is about, and like the demands of the fans. Like it can't be stressed enough. Like if Rangers were playing, I don't know, Juventus tomorrow or whatever, we would be wanting a result. That's the demand that comes to being I'm no joking. I'm the joker. It is true.
Yeah, I know.
The majority of the fans, it doesn't matter if it's a friendly or what. When we played Real Madrid, you were wanting to beat them. That is the demand that comes to play with Rangers. So a lot of guys who maybe come in, that's kind of going over all ground, but when Warburton was there, I don't think Warburton understood that. I think he thought going to Easter Road or going to a Pittodrie and getting a draw was a good result. He maybe didn't say it in front of the camera, but I certainly think he thought that. So that's a good result, that. But guys like Jack, like McGregor, like Davis, they'll say, that's not good enough. You've got to win every game.
Yeah.
And if people can't get that, then they need to go at the club.
Harking back to another player, Lee McCulloch made a point about you're saying that once he was on the commentary or the punditry one day, and it was a Rangers game, and he sort of made this comment about, Rangers are actually a very, very difficult club to play for. From the outside looking in, you think, oh, that's easy. You're playing for the biggest and best club in the country. You just turn up and you beat everybody else. That's it. And he's like, it's not like that. It's the demands for the supporters, and when things do go wrong, you're very aware of it. You know what I mean? The criticism comes thick and fast.
Well, you could even look at a guy like Andy Halliday. He's the best player that's ever played with Rangers. He's not the worst either. But that's a guy that got it. And kind of like Rangers is a 24/7 thing. And a lot of guys maybe like a easy number going down to play with Brighton or something, where you can walk about the town centre after a game after you've been beat or go out for dinner at night. At Rangers, that's not the case. And it's a big thing for players maybe to come up here and experience that. And there's great players that have just not been able to handle that, and lesser players look like it's not even Rangers fans, like Nacho Novo, for example. He came and embraced that and probably punched above his weight, but because he got what it was all about, he embraced all that. Whereas there's really talented guys who've came up and just crumbled because of that pressure. So that's why I always like to have like a kind of core Rangers supporters in about the place. Obviously they've got to be good enough. It isn't just a case of can jumps for the boys or whatever. Like Walter Smith, obviously sadly he passed away last week, but when he came back in 2008 or 2007, the first thing he done was he brought the spine back a team of Scottish guys. Some of them maybe weren't good enough. I didn't think Lee McCulloch was particularly good enough, but he got it. He got what Rangers was about. And Kurt Broadfoot, another guy, could never in a million years should he be playing with Rangers, but guys like that got it and embraced it, and they you need the kind of players. And like I always harp on about Scottish players signing with Rangers, and I wish we did have more. As I say, they've got to be good enough. But a guy like Ryan Jack, who was playing with Aberdeen, I know he was the captain, but I never knew much about him, and he came in here to Rangers and upped his game. And to me, he's improved so much as a player. But see, because he gets it and he enjoys all that pressure that comes with playing with Rangers, and hopefully that would pass on to other guys around him and make the full team better. So if he's on the park doing that, hopefully make the full squad better as well.
Colin, can I just add to what Gary's saying there? Absolutely spot on, 100%. And I think it was Lundstrom he came on for, wasn't it, today? It was Lundstrom Jack came on for. Yeah. And if not, that's the guy who needs to hear. Lundstrom needs to hear that roar. The roar for Ryan Jack today when he come on. And I think that, because he's a fella, I can't help suspecting Lundstrom has got a touch of the Mark Warburton's about him. And you're right, I remember Warburton almost kind of looking at it as if to say, but you were liquidated just there. Why are you wanting to? You shouldn't expect to win all these games so quickly. And it's like, no, this is, you don't get it. And I think there's a touch of that with Lundstrom. Lundstrom, the conundrum, he's got it going forward. He's fantastic. He did a really solid, a good game a day. But again, he's near. When things go wrong, when we lose a goal, I know that it was possibly offside, the first goal we lost, but Lundstrom's kind of near it all the time. A lot of the goals are lost this season, or he's been directly responsible for them. And it's like he doesn't get that bit of, no, you shouldn't let it. You've got to watch the back door as much as going forward. You're not going to just enjoy yourself. This is Rangers you're playing for. And I think that hopefully that roar the day when Ryan Jack went off, he'll think to himself, all right, that's what I've got to aim for. You know? Yeah,
that's a standard. That's speaking of standards, Alex. I'd like to talk about the refereeing standards today. David Munro's performance. I think a bizarre performance at times. I thought some of the things that he let go were pretty shocking. I thought,
especially in light of some of the things he wasn't letting go. You know, I thought, God, it was. I don't know what happened with Balogun. Like when Ryan Kent scores his wonder goal, absolutely cracking strike. Balogun's kind of lying down in the box. He has been hurt. And the fella sitting behind me, who's pretty sharp with these things, like Balogun's going to get that guy. And I don't know if he's been bundled or whatever. And I've lost. I've forgotten who it is. He actually Balogun then does hit down towards the kind of Rangers end and takes the booking. But for me, the worst decision, never mind, it was, I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Is it Callaghan, the guy who scored against us for Hamilton Accies last season?
The challenge on Bassey.
How is that not a cut? And I can't help thinking, maybe it's you can't help thinking it's a bit like a footballer. If you're maybe not sure of your skill, the first thing you want to do is go out and make it. Old juniors style, just go out and make your mark, just pick yourself a bit physically, and then you can build on that. You can, once you've made your kind of physical mark in the game, you can get your skillful side going. And I don't know, with referees, I'd never heard of David Monroe. It was maybe their thing is if you go to Ibrox and Parkhead and no give them certainly don't bow to the crowd, be seen to no give them a booking, no give them like a decision they're looking for. At least we know you're not being swayed by the crowd, and then you can actually get decisions right. Once you've sorted that out, once you've shown you don't bow to the old firm crowd, the offside, the first goal, the goal that Ross County
it is offside. I mean, I was in line with it. It looked offside at the time. I've seen it since, and it's tighter than I thought it was, but it's definitely offside.
I've never seen. I don't. The only line I've seen, obviously, is the line of the way the grass is cut. And I could see maybe Goldson's head, Goldson's feet certainly are playing the guy offside at the point the decision should be made. But his head might be. There's a chance his head could be as far forward as the fella's knee. I don't know. But it wasn't. It wasn't at the time. It looked clear cut offside to me. I can see maybe there's a chance. It's at least it's terrible a decision as I thought it might have been, but the booking was a bit, or the non-booking of Colin was very weird, and he was putting himself about. It was a classic case of that didn't stop him. He needed a booking early doors, Colin. He was putting himself about quite kind of nastily, getting wound up by the crowd, and it was getting a bit dangerous. It's okay, and I think this is the time to complain about these things when we've actually won the game, unlike certain other teams. We'll not go there. Gary, I think the ambition today, I mean, it's been a very, Ross was mentioning this earlier on in the immediate sort of post-match comments that, because of the international breaks, it's felt very stop-start. You get maybe 4 or 5 fixtures in, boom, you have to stop. 4 or 5 in, boom, have to stop. So I think the ambition this weekend was, to maintain that 4-point lead, go away. Obviously, the players that have got international duty, they'll go away. The rest of the guys will probably get a few days off. Come back next week after the international rounds. Hopefully refreshed and ready to go, because as you said earlier on, we've got a really sort of strong set of fixtures coming up. We've got the semi-final against Hibs. We've got to travel in December. We've got to travel to Tynecastle, Pittodrie, Easter Road, and then obviously in January we're going to Celtic Park. So it feels like that December period is always key in terms of where the title goes. So good that they're going away. They've got the 4-point gap. Come back refreshed, ready to go and push on, because these are really, really important games coming up.
100%. I think these games will make or break our season for sure. Like if we come out the other side of this top of the league, I think that'll be us win the league effectively. But the thing about international breaks, which I think, see the better we get, the more international players we're getting. So they're not getting a break. So it's maybe great for guys like the English players, really, that are kind of good enough for England. But like when we've got Roof now going to Jamaica, he can potentially 3 guys going to Nigeria at times like that, Morelos going to Colombia. These guys aren't getting a break anymore. And it's unfortunate, because when will they get their break? It'll need to be us that give them the break, because our international teams are not going to do it. So it's a shame, and that's why I can understand why Gerrard makes so many changes, as much as I criticise it. But he makes these changes because he's trying to give all these guys wee breaks, whether it's Davis, guys like that, and try and give them all as much a break as they can. Like today was the bottom of the league, so you can afford to make some changes, drop your Davis and guys like that, and Morelos as well. But he's got to do that to try and keep these guys at the peak of their condition for these blocks of games. And I actually like it the way he does it, because he always talks about it to take the international break, take it to a winter break. And I kind of feel if you give yourself wee many targets, wee many leagues, it's maybe a good way to do it. Kind of, I know he says take one game at a time, which I totally agree with, but I think maybe internally they'll focus on that section of games. If we can, if we're still top after games, that, if we're still top after that, continue with that. And but certainly this will be probably the hardest. It's the hardest I can think of for a while. That we've had a run of games that just happens. It's the better teams all away from home at once. But if we play as we know we can play, it shouldn't matter. It really shouldn't matter. We should be better than what's in front of us. But we need to stop getting away with the first goal. That would help.
Yeah. Alex, I mean, I'm going to slightly disagree with Gary here. It seems to me that every December we travel Easter Road, Pittodrie, Celtic Park, Tynecastle. What is it about December that it just always seems to be a really, really tough month?
Aye, it's brutally hard. But as Gary's saying, if we can hit this, right, and it could be brutally brilliant. It could be brutal for the rest of the league. We're all panic. If you're going to panic about Rangers' form this season, it's because we've had so many home games and we've not really pushed on and got a healthy distance between us and a Celtic team that was really struggling to find its feet. But if it's going to work out, and it's kind of fantasy that I've got worked out, I've got it all planned out how we're going to win the league this season. It's like we said to them, with the Aberdeen result, it was kind of, there you go. First punch on his go, and they, for want of a better phrase, shut out, and that's sometimes more effective, I think. And we've seen it from the other side, what happening to Rangers. Celtic offer you up a chance. There you go, we've slipped up, take it away, and it's like you're like one of these snooker players who doesn't actually want to get out of his seat. He just get me back. I just want to sit down again, and I think that psychologically that was a massive blow for Celtic last week, and for us to then follow up with a 6-1 it was a real slap in the face.
Yeah,
and I feel as if that part of that. Yeah, there you go. If it's part of the plan for this season to kind of just like let them have that, on you go, come on. And I think this Rangers team does enjoy a challenge. I think they actually like a fight. Well, then this is the time I think we might actually pull away. It wouldn't surprise me, is what I'm saying, if we actually win at Easter Road, win at Pittodrie, win at Tynecastle, win at Parkhead, and that's it. And then we start just dropping points at home again for the second half of the season. But that's it. We've won the league, really. I've got a funny feeling that's how it's going to go. But it's a brutal set of fixtures coming up. But I think this Rangers team, as I say, I think they actually quite enjoy it. I think maybe after last season, I'm never for a second going to say they can't play in front of crowds. Obviously, they love playing in front of crowds, but I think maybe they're a bit upset. A lot of the players haven't realised they thought winning 55 with everybody, the way everybody at Rangers has talked about 55, we've won it. And then they'll go back and they're no scoring for 20 minutes against Livingston. They're getting a bit of a slag and they're thinking, wait a minute, I've been not got enough in the bank. I've not got enough credit. But as Gary was saying earlier, it's maybe been a wake-up call to them, just how demanding the Rangers support is, and that you just can't ever slip off you can't ever slip up no matter what's been done. But for me, mate, it's the League Cup. The League Cup, I think, could change everything if we could get that one. I think that would move us on to the next level. That would really bed in what happened last season, and that's the one. Get that sorted, and I'll have so much more confidence about the rest of the season.
Yeah, it'd be nice to win a cup game. I mean, in a very poignant week for Walter Smith, it's hard to believe that he was the last manager to win as a domestic cup. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it'd be good to see that change. Right, guys, on to matters off the park now. The club announced the release of their accounts through the week. Some fairly grim reading in there. I think we all expected it on the back of COVID and all the sort of stuff that's been happening in the world of late. So £23.5 million losses for the year. This follows a sort of a run. It was like 15.9 million in 1920, 11 million 18-19, 13.2 million 17-18. So Douglas Park was sort of keen to say that the club's in recovery. He looks at it as a 10-year plan, and so they've had to front load a lot of the money and all that kind of stuff. But it's obvious to me, Gary, that obviously the result against Malmo has been damaging in that front. I know that would have brought in a good amount of revenue, and then COVID as well. And I mean, I'm not worried about it as such, but you do think it can't continue forever. You know, there has to be some sort of balancing going on at some point.
Yeah, well, I'll start with where you were saying about the losses for 2015. I think we need to always try look at the bigger picture. The guys that came in then had a plan, and it was to front load debt, if you want to call it that, with the objective to grow the business, grow the club faster than what it would be if we just naturally let it done and built as we improve, kind of thing. So I know the Celtic fans and whoever love to say you're in debt, you're all this or that, but the facts are is that that's no money. It's just like pissed against a wall, and players that haven't been successful. It's built infrastructure, it's improved stuff round the boot. There's been mistakes. Caixinha, prime example, probably lost a couple of years with Murray as well, dragging your feet there with the Derek McInnes carry on. But we've invested in lots of things behind the scenes, like the retail, the commercial side, the ticket office. Maybe I don't know. That's a bad thing to talk to you about, Colin, the ticket office, things like that.
I don't think it's just me.
We've invested in Rangers TV, kind of things like that. And it's been an objective to do bigger things, like the Edmondson House thing. That just looks absolutely amazing. And that's all things that's been... It wasn't just thought of yesterday. It's been part of a plan for 6 years so far. They said it was a 10-year plan. We're kind of halfway through it. COVID's happened, unfortunately, which hasn't helped. But the one kind of shining light through it all is that even though COVID happened, we never stopped. Edmondson House still got demolished. They still pushed ahead with the new one. They're still talking about looking to increase the capacity of the ground. They're still signing like Kamara on contracts. Did Gerrard get an extension? Was it last year or the year before? They're still they're still looking to improve. But what was I was trying to think earlier. I was writing it down. They said that it was 11.3 million we actually lost due to fans not being there, even though we'd sold season tickets just for the match income. So 11 million. So that takes quite a chunk of that loss off. And I think 5 million of that was refurbishment or more refurbishment of the lounges and things like that. So that's a big chunk of money. So as long as we've got people who are willing to take that slack, that's great. I don't think it can continue going forward. I think it's a healthy position to be in, to rely on people to basically bail us out every year. But if it's part of the plan and they're happy doing that for that plan, and to me it's great, because at the end of the day, we could have, if we had different people in charge and they were just trying to balance the books and they looked at what was happening in the past and says, no, we need to make a profit, we need to break even. You would have seen Morelos away last year, maybe would have seen Kent away last year at the first bid, and we would never have won the league. And that's what's got to happen. That we've got guys in charge who are Rangers fans. They look at the bigger picture. It might be hard to sometimes let your heart overrule your head, but they've seen things that have came onto their table, whether it be a bid for Morelos, a bid for Kent. There's rumours of bids for Hadji, bids for Barisic, all these kind of rumours. But they've said, no, that's not how much we think these players are valued at. So we're not selling them for under what we think they're worth, with the aim that we're going to take us to the next level with these players. Personally, I think we put a lot of our eggs in the basket thinking we would get the Champions League this season. We maybe should have, arguably, consider Malmo, end up qualifying for it. But that's maybe why we didn't sign any real big players on money. But we could have sold players, if you know what I mean. So they've done that, they've kept those players have kept that squad. But this year is the big year we really need to win this league. Like, see, even more than qualifying for last 16s of Europa Leagues and everything, or anything like that, we need to win this league, because that will take us to the next step on our rebuild. And what I don't want them to do is get to that and then fall in the trap of relying on Champions League money every year. We need to be a sustainable business. I think they already said that was it. I think 2023 or something. They're looking to break even. Is that maybe right? 2023 that they're looking to break even. So I really hope that's done with the Europa League / conference. I think they're pretty much the same kind of incomes on that. And then if you get Champions League money, that's a bonus. If you don't, then it doesn't really matter. But you can still sell players and do it that way, player trading, if we need to, which is another good thing, is that we have got these players now that we maybe didn't have under Caixinha, maybe even under Warburton, that were big assets. So if we were struggling, we could sell a Kamara, we could sell a Morelos, get Hadji, the full squad now, kind of Rebos we were talking about earlier, these are guys that can go for 10 million plus, and we brought them in for less than that. So the team are in a great position, and as I say, but I'm looking at the bigger picture, and I think that what they've said they were going to do for day one, they did say it was brick by brick. Paul Murray said brick by brick. Maybe people didn't realise that how serious it was.
Yeah.
But they've done everything they said they were going to do, bar a couple of hiccups. But nobody's perfect. And to me, we're on the right course. We're top of the league now. We're in a semi-final. We're in Europe for the 4th season in a row. We've got a great manager. We've got a good setup around them. We've got a commercial department that's getting better and better. I'm sure they said, I think I wrote it down here, in fact. No, I didn't. That Bisgrove had made. No, I wrote certain numbers there to try and keep it right. But Bisgrove's made X amount of £1 million in sponsorship in the middle of a pandemic last year. That's incredible that he's still managing to get people to give us money when there's not actually anybody going to see the games. It's incredible what they're doing. Ross Wilson as well, the football department. All these things are getting better and better and better. And it's not just to get the team winning on the park. It's to bring all these things together. But it's players that we can sell, or sponsorships in, merchandise contracts, all these things. It's all you've got to do it step by step by step. And then at the end of it, hopefully we'll see the fruits of it.
Alex, the accounts also stated that the club will need £7.5 million of funding before the end of the season, and I suppose there's a couple of things here. One, we're fortunate to have people in place and in position that are prepared to do that. As Gary says, that's what's been needed. We've had to front load the cash to get the club off its knees and back into the sort of place that it should be. And also the fans, the supporters who paid for season tickets through that COVID season, that's been so vital. Even although the club still lost money and they've had to impact on, they've had to put claims through their business interruption insurance. I think they've got £2 million back so far, and they're looking to get more money. But the fact that supporters done that, I mean, we all knew it was vital, but I think when you see these accounts, you realise just how vital that was. But there was another couple of things I wanted to raise. One thing that sort of, pricked my ears up a wee bit when I was looking at it was the amount of money that came in from Castore. 4.2 million. When you see the amount of shirts that have been shifted, and I thought that was quite a small amount of money. And done a wee bit of digging. Celtic made 22 million through Adidas. The contract with Castore is worth 25 million over the 4 years, I believe. But the 4.2 million, I thought that was quite disappointing. And I kind of, as I said, my head sort of whoa when I read that.
Aye, it seems strange. But at the same time, as Gary's saying quite rightly, it's the Champions League. I think we're just at that point. We're just at that point where you have to remember my pie. Into the money they make from me buying pies, they lost that last season. That's good 1.2, 1.5 million, mate. So that's coming out of the budget straight away. There is not a Castore top big enough to get over the top of me. But no, I think you get in the Champions League, the profile's raised. You're open to proper kit sponsorship money up front, as opposed to having to rely on actual sales of strips to kind of make up for any shortfall. And that I am not, as you can probably tell already, any kind of financial expert. I mean, it's all totally above my head. I did work in a bank for a while, but it was basically just as a kind of desk jockey, just keying in stuff that I was told to key in. I didn't really. It was really at the same time as the world financial crisis, so I don't know if it's linked, but I'm not the best person to talk about funds. But my general feeling has always been, just a gut feeling. We were just looking at the people that are in charge, and I felt that from the moment we kind of crashed financially in 2012, you're looking at the guys that were coming in to get us going again, to try and build up the infrastructure, and it just became apparent really quickly that it was always going to be like shysters, then a bit of class of shyster, and then you get somebody like Dave King, who I think is just the kind of gateway to proper businessmen. He's kind of, has his moments, Dave. And a lot of people want to put statues up for him and what have you, but we owe him a big debt, and that debt's been paid, I think, with the 800,000 odd interest. But at least he's a Rangers man. Dave King was a Rangers man. Businessmen are always businessmen. They always want their money back. But I think now we are in a situation where John Bennett and Douglas Park were saying they're going to, the 7.5 million, they're going to stump that up for us at a kind of a better, kind of interest rate, if you like. I don't really understand the ins and outs, but they're guys I would trust. They're guys that look, they've put their money where their mouth is the last few years. They really seem to have the club's best interests at heart. And I'm not really going to panic too much just now. It's no good. We don't want to see these kind of figures, but I think proportionately you'll see other clubs in the country have lost the same kind of amount of money. Just they're not having to buy as big because they're no Rangers. COVID has hit everybody really, really hard. But I go back to your original point there. I think that the kit deal is that's disappointing, because it seems to be so prominent. All the Rangers supporters are daft about the kits. I feel as if it should. I feel as if it should have reaped more rewards, but it's no good. Generally, it's no good. But like yourself, I'm not going to panic. And as Gary's saying quite rightly, we have the assets there. If there's going to be any kind of fire sale, we might not get the top dollar for them, but we've got the players there that we could clear that debt tomorrow. So it's no good, but I'm not panicking, mate.
Final point for tonight, guys. I'll stick with you now, Alex. Aston Villa sacked Dean Smith today, and obviously, as always happens when any manager leaves his post, Steven Gerrard has been linked with it. And I noticed, I just got home for the sort of last 5 minutes of the Liverpool game today, and I watched a wee bit of the analysis after it, and it came up in that, and Jamie Carragher was sort of saying it, that in his opinion, he was sort of keen to stress that this wasn't coming from Stevie. It was his opinion based on what he knows. Steven Gerrard, he didn't think he would take the Villa job. He thinks he would be flattered by it, and he respects Villa, thinks they're a big club, but that he felt that Gerrard would want another, at least 2, maybe 3 trophies before he took on another job. And that's kind of how I view it. I mean, I'm not overly concerned. I mean, obviously, he's human. It might take him closer to his family, if he's working back down there. There's loads of aspects to take into consideration. But I'm in tune with what Carragher was saying, and I'm not too concerned about it. What about yourself?
No concern. Well, I'm always kind of panicking, and at least Villa had the decency to start these rumours before we actually won today. It seems like every time Rangers got a good win, somebody sacks their manager in the English Premier League, and the next day, and I've got to crap myself for the next 24 hours until they actually get somebody else in. But I think I think it's Liverpool. I think he just wants to go to Liverpool. You never know what's going to happen. You can't say Gerrard's going to be here to the end of the season without any 100% certainty. But I think all things being even, he wants to go to that Champions League. He wants to get this League won. He wants to get us into the Champions League. As you say, he wants to get some cups as well. His interview on Rangers TV, it must be, I just saw a wee bit on YouTube tonight, where he was asked about the internationals, these players you want them to do well, and he's basically saying, don't try for your country, come back here and get that bloody League Cup one. The determination he's got speaks of a guy who doesn't want to go anywhere. And it doesn't want to go anywhere except Anfield. I'd be more worried if Xavi doesn't go to Barcelona, maybe he's away already, and Klopp. I think Klopp wants to go to Barcelona eventually. That seems like his kind of next step. And that's when I would start worrying. And even at that point, I wouldn't have been any way better about it. I just know that's where Stevie G wants to go. He would go with my best wishes. But hopefully, he's good for the rest of this season. It will happen one day, but I don't think it's going to be any other than Liverpool.
Gary, what about yourself? Any concerns, or are you fairly confident that he'll stay for at least this season?
Yeah, I'm fairly confident. I think, especially, I absolutely despise English football with all my being. And I'll tell you the main reason is their quite like sack happy attitude for kind of bang average teams, and I think Aston Villa kind of fall into that. I think Gerrard's got too much riding on being successful with us to risk leaving a good thing or potentially a good thing that he's building with us to go down there to maybe get sacked in 6 months, and then where is he? It's like Frank Lampard can probably back a studio doing punditry. Because if he stays with us, wins the leagues, possibly another couple of cups, and gets the Champions League next year, which is the platform he wants to be on, that Eric could walk into that Liverpool job once Klopp decides to go. Not because ability, because he's Steven Gerrard. And I think that's something to remember as well. It's not like it's this is going to sound a Warburton bashing because I'm mentioning him again, but it's somebody like somebody like Warburton who was clearly had a plan to get himself up to the top of management. Steven Gerrard doesn't need to do that. He's already got that job if he wants it when the time's right. So he doesn't need a stepping stone. And I think that's a big thing for us, that we know that unless that job comes up, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. Even if that was at Chelsea, I wouldn't really be worried either, because I think his heart's, as Alex said, his heart's set on Anfield. But the one thing I would say is, like, Aston Villa, whoever's running the show there, like Ange Ball, it's taking the world by craze. Like, I don't know why they're not looking at Postecoglou.
Well, aye, that's a good point, actually, Gary. A good point, well made, and a good way to finish off the show tonight. So a big thanks to Gary and Alex for their excellent contributions there, as always. We're live tonight, as we always are, on the Sunday night, guys, but the show will be available tomorrow on a variety of platforms, including Acast, iTunes, YouTube, Castbox, Stitcher, Spotify, all your usual places. So put the word out there on social media, let people know that we're here. Well, I'm trying to think about what shows we'll have next. I think we do have a show next week. I've not seen the... You're nodding your head there, Alex. We do have a show.
International football. The Kilt and the Glengarry on Colin. I know you'll be...
I'll give that one a miss. Right, so we'll have a show next week talking about international football. Looking forward to that. In the meantime, get yourself onto the Gersnet website and forums at www.gersnet.co.uk. Easy for me to say. Until next time, guys, bye for now.